Hello and welcome to the Tough Cover Podcast. I am your host, Mark Henry Jr., and you can follow me at Mark Henry Jr. _, and you can follow the podcast at Tough Cover Pod, and you can follow the Painted Lines where this is streaming at the Painted Lines. Please give at Everything's Fine a follow as well. That is the Philly Sports Podcast I do with Kyle Pagan. And lastly, but one of the most important parts of this, follow at Fox PHL Gambler, where I'll be producing at 8 a.m. today, and you can see my content in all those places. That's why this podcast had to go out just a little bit earlier than usual. Hopefully it gives you guys a chance to dissect these picks and lines for a little bit longer. So on today's show, we go through my top 5 picks on the Saturday college football slate. We come into today up 29 units in the month of November, up 211 units since September 2nd. Had an incredible hit last night, late night, on the Utah-Stanford over, cashing at 1:35 a.m., which is what I said on Pick Central. Did call it in to Big Ev and to Rico Bosco yesterday on Pick Central. Said you'd have to stay up to 1:30. Well, it was 1:35, but it was well worth the wait. It cashed for us. So let's get it started. At 11:30, I like Army +3 at Air Force. You're going to give me 2 even teams and make 1 +3 in a game with a total of 37. I'll love to take the dog here in a low-scoring clash in the Commanders Classic at the new Texas Rangers Baseball Stadium. And we know it'll be low-scoring because all Service Academy faceoffs are. Unders in games between Service Academy teams have gone 39, 9-1. For an 81.3% win rate since 2005. These are also the 2 best teams in the country at controlling the clock and are first and second in time of possession. But I'm sticking with Army instead of the under in this game, strictly because I think Army's offense may have turned a corner against Wake Forest, putting up a huge number, 56, the 3rd highest number they've ever scored against a ranked team. Army's 140 passing yards were its most through the air over the last 2 years. The Army offense averages a surprising 35 points per game and 400 yards per game. I think this game will come down to field position and who can score touchdowns instead of field goals. I think we've seen that more from Army's offense at this point, with them being 13th in the country at finishing drives. So I'm rolling with West Point and the Army Black Knights +3 at Air Force. I think they win outright. So let's get to 12 o'clock. I like Wake Forest +3 at North Carolina. North Carolina is one of the most disappointing teams in the country. 4-4 when many had them as playoff contenders or at least ACC contenders, and they are now 3-5 against the spread, with all but one of those games being favored and with 2 of those covers being against Duke and Georgia State. UNC got too much respect last week as a small dog against my Irish, and Wake Forest, whether I don't know if they're that good, if they're that special, if they've beaten anyone, they're still undefeated. They've still taken care of business. UNC absolutely has not. They've been allergic to taking care of business. Wake Forest scores often, and they score touchdowns. And it's because their quarterback, Sam Hartman. Sam Hartman has actually been better than North Carolina quarterback Sam Howell. Not only has Sam Howell been disappointing, he's not the best QB in the ACC named Sam. He's not the best ACC in QB with the initials SH. So I'll ride with Sam Hartman over Sam Howell. This should be Wake Forest -3. I think everyone's going to be on North Carolina here. Everyone's going to call this a trap. But I think Vegas is just giving too much respect to a preseason power ranking and to a name brand in North Carolina with Sam Howell and Mac Brown. So let's get to my next play here. We do have a comment. Mr. Crockback said, "Dude, it is early." LOL. Yeah, I work at the studio at 8 a.m., so I didn't have any other option here. I had to go early. So hopefully if people can't catch it live, they can catch it on demand. So let's get to my best bet, my play of the day, my lock of the day. Under 60, Missouri, Georgia. Absolutely love this under in the Missouri-Georgia game. Don't think Missouri will put up more than 10 points. Georgia's offense does not exactly strike fear into me that they're going to drop a 50 burger. Georgia has only been in 2 games this season that have went over this total, and those have finished at 62 and 63. This total of 60 is disrespectful to an all-time great defense in the 2021 Georgia Bulldogs. Georgia has 11 defenders with a 75 or higher PFF grade. This unit allows 6.6 points per game and 3.6 yards per play and is ranked first in the country in both. They've only given up 3 passing touchdowns over 8 games. They're the unanimous number one for a reason, and it's defense, defense, defense. I've seen Mizzou's team total could be around 10.5, 11. Georgia's could be around that 49.5, 50. I like both team total unders. Therefore, I really like the full game under. And you guys know I usually go first half unders or team total unders. This game, I'm going full game under. I don't think Georgia drops 50. I don't think Mizzou drops 14. So I think that this game ends in the 40s or 50s. Mr. Crockback with another comment. Corral versus Willis today, baby. It's going to be interesting. Ole Miss versus Liberty. That is a big game. Liberty's, I believe, a 9.5, 10-point dog. I was hoping that would be a little bit more like 2 touchdowns, and then maybe I would have taken Liberty, but I looked at it as a stay away. So 4 o'clock, let's get to the SEC game that I've got here. I've got Mississippi State plus 5.5 at Arkansas. I have a fever, and the only prescription is more cowbell. These teams are trending in the opposite direction, in my opinion. I'll take Mike Leach over Sam Fatboy Pittman all day long. Everyone loves Arkansas and Sam Pittman, but most don't know that Sam Pittman is 4-10 in the SEC. It's a guy that's 4-10 in the SEC should not be a 5.5 point favorite over a team that's playing really good football in the Mississippi State Bulldogs. Mississippi State throws the ball more than anyone in the country, and Will Rogers has really stepped into that role and been very efficient, especially last week, going 36 for 39 against a really good Kentucky defense. And I believe Mississippi State has a massive QB and coaching advantage in this game. Cowbell's role, Mississippi State plus 5.5 at Arkansas. I think they win outright. So let's get to my last play of the day at 7:30. I like Oregon minus 6.5 at Washington. This is an easy fade Washington pick. I've been doing it since they lost to FCS Montana. Oregon needs to win out to make the college football playoff. So I love Oregon to win and to put on some style points here. Washington's coach made dumb comments about not competing with Oregon for kids in recruiting because they're not as smart of an university as UW. So that'll be something I hope Oregon comes out fired up to play against them. Their AD made some derogatory comments at Washington's coach, Jimmy Lake, for sucking at being a coach, basically saying, Chris Peterson, which is true. And an X factor here for Oregon is Travis Dye at running back, who's filling in for a couple injured guys, especially CJ Verdell. And the reason he's an X factor is his ability to catch the ball out of the backfield. He's been one of the leading receivers on this team. This game will decide the one side of the Pac-12 division for the Pac-12 championship game. And I just have little to no doubt that Oregon will win this game, win handily, and cover. But they did lose to Stanford, who looked atrocious last night. So who knows? It's anyone's guess. Thank you for listening. That was the Tough Cover Podcast. Please follow at Mark Henry Jr. _ Please follow at Tough Cover Pod. Please follow at The Painted Lines. Follow at Everything's Fine. And follow at Fox PHL The Gambler. So thank you for being a part of the Tough Cover Click and enjoy the winners.